trade you the water. Thank you so much. We'll be here till
Yeah.
I have two microphones now, so I'm going to hand one over to you. So that was amazing, incredible, right? And I think that we could pretty much do this until maybe next week and just keep going. But Dr. Rady will be here through lunch, so please stop by, ask him questions, grab a book, get it signed, take advantage of his presence. And he is the perfect segue to the Sonima Foundation. And they are incredible. They have been implementing yoga programs across the country. So their wellness programs have been implemented in California, in New York, in Texas, in Carolina, in Florida. They're going to Indiana. So they're thriving and growing, and they are here to share that work with us today for the next hour. So sit back, relax, and figure out how you can now take what John was saying and now listen to what Sonima is saying about implementation. And I will just ask that if you are a teen, this is a great place for you to step out quietly if you'd like to, because we're going to get started with the teens. So if there are any more remaining teens, you can just start to make your way to the back. So here we go with Sonima. Thanks, Chai.
Thank you. Great. Hi, my name is Chi Kim, and I am the Chief Strategy Officer for the Sonima Foundation. And we're just so honored to be here. But Dr. Rady, I got to tell you, when I was in high school, I got to go to a concert, and the Beastie Boys, when they first started out, opened for Madonna. And I feel like you are Madonna and we are the Beastie Boys right now, because we're hitting the stage. I'm like, oh, we've got no mice. We've got no anything. So anyway, so thank you for that. We're so inspired by your work. And I think one of the things that we're excited to share with you today is, as Michelle has told you, we do go around the country and implement these programs, but we do it for a very specific reason, and it's really to help you. And I'm going to share why. We are the Sonima Foundation, and we're actually preparing for national impact. And we're here to really, at the beginning of this conference, just to ask for your help, and you'll see how we're going to provide some support. But we're really here for you. This is our team. We actually have a team of 7. We're a small, agile group, and I'm a Chief Strategy Officer. We've got Aaron Cooney, who's our Director of Curriculum and Instruction, Michael Cork, who's our Director of Research, Joe McLean, who's our Director of Professional Development. We have our colleague Russell Case, who is the Director of Partnerships, and by special flight in, our Executive Director, Dr. Terry Greer, who's here as well. I want to just go over a little bit. In your packet, in your swag bag, you got a book. It's called Yoga Poga Schmoga, and it was written by our founder, Sonia Jones, who really the power of yoga for her is the reason why we're all here. She wholeheartedly, in her heart and her soul, just believes in the power of yoga. And one of the main things that helped her, she said, to become a better mother, because it calmed her down, having 4 kids and being able to sort of focus and center. And so she has this passion to sort of share the love of that, and created this foundation that we're also honored to be a part of. So you also, she donated books for all of you to go in and have. It's really sweet. She's gone and done a few book reads. It's been pretty fun to have the kids see her in action. And she's Australian, so she's got this great accent. Half the time the kids don't even know what she's saying, but it's awesome when she reads it. So I just want to go over a little bit of our history and what we do. When we first launched in 2011, we actually had a collaboration with the yoga community. Aaron actually is one of the core founders of the program, as well as Russell. And we really wanted to develop some partnerships in the field. What we ended up doing was took a chance and gave a pretty significant grant to the Encinitas Union School District. We also got invited to the roundtable at the White House. And the thing that probably we're the most proud of is that we've also partnered with research universities to study our work. So Dr. Rady, you are not alone. We are trying to spread the word and also trying to invest in research as well. So there is a large foundational base. Originally when we started, we're calling this Sonima 1.0. We really just talked about reducing stress, providing self-regulation, and really sort of preaching the benefits of the social and academic pieces. And along the way, oh, thanks. I don't know what happened. I got my inside voice. Along the way, what we've done is we've had many, many heroes who've taken some pretty big hits in the field. And one of our heroes is Dr. Tim Baird, who is the superintendent of the Encinitas School District. He piloted our program, and then he decided that it was going to be great to implement it school-wide. And in the process of that, he got sued as a school district. So that lawsuit that you always hear about, that was Dr. Baird. He took those hits. The school district won the lawsuit, and then they got sued again, I believe, and they won the second lawsuit. Basically, the contention was that they were teaching religion, and they weren't, and that was found in court. So Dr. Baird has taken a pretty big hit, and what he's done now is he's actually been able to sustain the program within his district without our grant dollars. So we're really just so grateful for his leadership. The other thing that we feel is, as you go into the field, it's the leader of the schools that have the biggest impact. When you get that magical leader that says, yes, come, help us, you know, be with our kids, absolutely. We have great school leaders in East Palo Alto, in Houston, it's Beaufort if you're in South Carolina, it's Beaufort if you're in North Carolina. Coming from the Asian who's never been in the South, right? Indianapolis, New York, and Kansas City. So we have a lot of great leader partners that we work with that help us to scale and spread the work. So we originally, in Sonima 1.0, started with the scholars. We wanted to give them the tools and strategies, and so we have curriculum for that. And then we also engaged in thoughtful partnerships. And then what we did was, with a team of great writers and yoga practitioners, they created a multi-tiered curriculum set. As we start to present throughout this, we're actually going to model what we do in schools and for teachers, and so that you can sort of see those strategies. It's not that you wouldn't be able to do it on your own, but we just like to do that as part of the strategy for you to see how we engage with our partners on the ground. This is Jill McLean.
Hi, I'm Jill, and it's going to be my pleasure this morning to enhance your presentation experience by going through some of our brain break transitions. So these transitions are going to help our minds be learning ready. So brain breaks, they're short bursts of activity. They increase blood flow and oxygen to the brain, and they enable the mind to better retain information. So I'm sure at some point in your life you've all been a student at a training course, at a conference, woohoo, and you start to fidget, you know, your mind starts to wander. It's just, you lack focus. It's difficult to keep the concentration going. So by using these transitions, we help keep the mind active, interested, and alive. In order for children to learn, they need to be able to pay attention. And in order to be able to pay attention, we need to let them move, right? Okay. Can you hear me okay or not? I have no idea how to work it. Let's try. Is that any good? Okay, so you can either stay in your chairs or you can stand up. We're going to do some crocodile breathing. I like that you're standing. Shows commitment. So, just be comfortable. Take your hands out in front of you. You can see from our lovely diagram up there, our crocodile breath. Used to work with our little kids, our smaller kids. They really enjoy this. And it's just a technique to take a break from what they're working on at that moment, right? So you're just going to inhale and open your crocodile jaws. Oh, listen to that breath. And exhale, close. We come again. Inhale. And exhale. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. Hold your hands here and just flip them over. You got it. Okay, let's do it a couple more times on this side. Jaws open. Inhale. Jaws close. Exhale. Open the jaws with your breath in. And close the jaws with the breath out. One last time. Inhale. And exhale. Awesome job, everyone. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Michael, and I was really counting on that crocodile breathing to help us all be settled and connected, so thank you, Jill, that was terrific. Oh, and Jill's voice is kind of our version of that Australian cool accent. I could just listen to her all day. So research is really at the core of what we do. From the very, very onset of our work, we partnered with universities to help us ask big questions and help us as an organization contribute to moving the knowledge base forward. As I talk, I'll teach you a little bit more about the multiple perspectives that we take as we look at the research and the way that we're working to share out our findings. So we partner with leading universities all over the country to help us answer big questions about if our program works, under what circumstance it works, and when. As you can see, we partner with people who come from multiple perspectives. We partner with psychiatrists and neuroscientists, with physical therapists and social workers, with school leaders and reformers from all different universities all over. The great thing about this is that they bring their own research tools and perspectives to the way that they ask the questions that they ask about the same program. So you have all of these multiple perspectives looking at the work that we're and that you're doing in schools. As Dr. Rady was noting, we have brain people that are asking questions about brains, about cortisol with neuroimaging. That's happening at our Stanford project. We have people that are, Chi was talking earlier about great leadership in schools. We have a principal in Houston, Texas, who volunteered to have her own hair cut so that we could study the cortisol levels in her hair, so that she could convince the families and the kids in her schools that it was okay. I mean, it's that kind of commitment to the research that we bring from our work and into the projects that we do so that we can get it out into the field. The research projects that we engage in take a long time. It takes about a year from when the end of data collection happens to when papers first start to emerge. That's due to a lot of things, but data collection isn't quick, and working with district partners to get state data back and data sets analyzed and reported takes a long time. It's not ideal for us as an organization. As you can imagine, waiting a year to get results on whether a project is effective or not, or whether a new unit is doing what you think it's doing, makes decision making really hard. But in a field as young as yoga in schools, with so much opportunity and so much maybe pressure on those of us that are doing the research work, it's really critical that we're doing really rigorous work, getting it out into the spaces where it can be read. As we work to answer the questions like I was saying, why, how much, and when there's greatest impacts, we're really increasingly turning to the student voice. I'm excited to share with you guys that just this summer, the first 2 peer-reviewed journal articles from our projects were published. The first of those 2 papers is a quantitative paper by Dr. Marshall Higgins and his colleague Andrew Rundle. Together, they studied a year-long program in a New York City high school. Dr. Higgins and Rundle believed, like most researchers in this field, and like Dr. Rady was talking about, that socio-emotional benefits would come from engaging in a school-based yoga practice, and that those benefits would precede academic and school-based outcomes. To study this, they randomly selected 2 groups of students in this high school. One group of them went into a health and wellness program for a year. The other group went into PE. It's called an active control. So we had these 2 groups from the same school participating in one of the groups participating in health and wellness, the other in PE. Over the course of the year, they did in fact find that students' grade point averages increased among those that were in the health and wellness group, which is great. It took 49 sessions for that GPA difference to emerge. So students had to participate for a long time. That's 6 months of practice. This is a really interesting thing to put into the research that's in the field, because lots of studies that are being done in this work are really short. And in order to get a GPA difference, in this case, it took 6 months. A big commitment from the school, big commitment from the students, big commitment from the program. The other thing that they found was that after 49 sessions, the more that students participated, the bigger that difference got between the two groups. Does that make sense? So it was a bit of a cumulative effect that happened. At the same time, they did not find that the socio-emotional benefits that they believed would precede those academic outcomes happened. So to kind of frame it all, they found that the academic differences that they had hoped to get from participation in the program, and they knew it was participation in the program because of the rigorous randomized controlled design of the study, but they didn't know why that academic benefit happened. The second paper is a companion paper to the Higgins and Rundle study. This is a qualitative paper that was written by Dr. Donna Wang. Her study interviewed 70 students from 4 different middle and high schools in New York City. One of the schools that she worked in was the same school that Dr. Higgins and Dr. Rundle were working in, which makes these two really, really nice companions. In her study, she reported a lot of the things that people will tell you when they come out of your classes, that students benefited socio-emotionally, that they had reduced stress levels, that they were better at self-regulation. And the students told her that they had physical benefits too, that they were more flexible, that they were less fatigued, and that they had improved their academic or their athletic performance. They also told her that they had improved their academic performance. And they went one step further and they said that the academic performance that they had improved was because of their ability to focus and because they were using mindfulness and breathing techniques in school-based performance situations. It's a qualitative study, so I have to put quotes. So here we sit with these two companion papers that were in a way designed to complement one another, to kind of take multiple perspectives. And we have this great program that we as a group believe does great things. We believe that it helps students reduce stress. We believe that it helps give them skills that can help them be more present and increase their performance in any situation. But we acknowledge that we're not teaching students how to do math or how to write better papers, right? We're teaching them how to be more present, to be more engaged, to be more focused on the learning opportunities that are in front of them every single day in their classroom. We think Dr. Hagen's paper might be saying that's happening, but we also acknowledge that we don't know why. Well, Dr. Wang talked to 70 students, and those 70 students told her that they got all those benefits, including the academic benefit that Dr. Higgins found. And they further said that that academic benefit was because they were better able to focus and because they were using those mindfulness techniques in classrooms. We think those students might be onto something.
Okay, time for another brain break, right? So come and sit to the edge of your chair. If you're on the floor, you can do this on the floor too. It can also be done standing. I think I'm going to have to. It's all visual.
Be your Vanna.
Okay, so you're going to take your hand outside your knee and your other hand on the back of your chair. Turn and look over your shoulder and just breathe. A few nice, easy breaths. Breathe into your chest. Inhale and exhale. Again, inhale, exhale. See if you can twist a little bit further. Keep the feet on the floor. One more breath. Inhale and exhale. So inhale to come back to the front. And let's do it on the other side, of course. Take the outside of the leg hold the back of the chair or the side of the chair and turn and look over your shoulder. Take a breath in and let the breath go. Again, inhale, lift your chest. See if you can twist just a little bit further. One more time, inhale and exhale. Come back through to the center. Interlace your fingers, reach them above your head, lift your chest, press your ribs forward and look up to the ceiling. Feel this nice lift in the chest, stretch in the back. Drop your shoulders and remember to breathe. You got it. This looks great. You should see it from where I'm sitting. And then we're going to go the other way. You're going to send your hands out in front of you, round your back, tuck your chin in, suck your tummy in, and send your hands forward. Just because this feels good, do it one more time. So inhale, lift the chest, hands up, head back. Lift up, look up towards the ceiling, relax the shoulders. And then as you exhale, cuddle your spine, tuck your chin in, round your back, and suck your tummy in. Inhale, come back up to sitting. Place your hands on your knees. Thank you.
That was a really beautiful photograph, by the way. So I opened by saying Sonima 1.0, and I want to tell you why we're here at Sonima 2.0. I joined the foundation in February 1st, and I was a former school superintendent. And on March 1st, Dr. Terry Greer was named as the executive director. You're probably asking yourself, why in the world are two superintendents or former superintendents as part of the Sonima Foundation? One of the, Terry's been in for 30 years, and he is responsible for setting direction for the foundation. And what we're really trying to do right now is figure out ways to develop how to scale and support the work based on our research. And one thing that we've done as an organization is we've really been reflecting on our heroes and what's happened on the ground. What lessons have we learned? We've gotten feedback from our instructors, we've gotten feedback from kids, and in particular, we've gotten feedback from our partners. And one of the things that emerged for us, so to give you an example, in Beaufort, South Carolina, they don't use the word yoga in any of their out-facing information. So if you're in the South, there's a very particular culture that we are going into. In Louisville, Kentucky, one of our partners, they are working with UVA, and we are in Louisville schools, and the superintendent there, with the support of the entire community and the mayor, they have kicked off what is called the Compassionate Schools Project. There's no mention of yoga in any of the press releases. It's about building compassion as a community. And one of the things that we're trying to do, we are agnostic to the base and where the yoga came from. We're agnostic to how these words are chosen. But what we do care about is we want to try and figure out how to get these practices into schools. Not before school or after school, but in the school day. And that's what we've been working on. So all the research that we've actually launched, these programs were embedded into the school day 1 to 2 times a week. And so that's the practice that we believe is going to have the biggest bang for your buck is was the time spent, right, while the kids are learning in schools. And so we took all this information and the research that's coming back to us right now. We're being very, very optimistic and really forward-thinking. We hope, and we've actually are launching a new brand, because what we don't want to do is we don't want to get shut out before we even are able to give them a proposal. And Dr. Greer's favorite line is, we're like camels, we just want to get our nose under the tent and then get invited in. And so what we're trying to do is get an easier entree in. And so we are rebranding. This is our first launch here. We're, here's our new name. Where is it? Is it this one? There we go. We are launching a new brand, and here's the reason why. There's something happening out in the policy space, and it is called the Every Student Succeeds Act. It's called ESSA. And for those of you who don't know, so we've gotten this partnership with these really wonderful yogis on our team, and you've got two former superintendents. So we are just going to milk the acronyms right? And they're just going to show up. We're going to create that for you. So in the past, we were all subject to No Child Left Behind. The reason why, and all the stressors of the testing and those environments, so every student in the country for the last 20 years have been subject to these academic tests, which we have a whole nother presentation on that, which you don't need to hear about. But what's happened right now, the law is going to be in full effect next year, and they've actually changed the conditions of the law, so that it's not going to be completely based on these academic data measures. They're actually focusing and trying to build in systems, and California is probably the most forward-thinking at this point in time, to build in success criteria for the non-cognitive skills, right? We are really trying to develop the whole child. And so the law is in our favor, yes. But here's the best part. Every time we go into schools and say we can't afford that, the new law, if you have an evidence-based program that shows that these strategies work, school districts, superintendents, states can actually use their federal dollars to pay for programs, right? And they couldn't do that before because it was very restrictive to the academic environment. And so we're like those camels. Can you figure that out? I know, it's so good, right? Terry and I miss these acronyms, right, Terry? What does this mean? We're learning from school and research partners, plus the Every Student Succeeds Act leads to our Pure Edge Incorporated. This is why we're trying to change our brand. We don't want to get shut out before we actually even get to go in. And one of the things that we really do believe is that the research is pointing into a very clear path, is that we're really trying to bring success through focus. There is so much noise right now, right, with our devices and everything else. Our kids don't have a chance. They just don't. I mean, we're all subject to it. It's just a fast pace. There's not a lot of room to stop and just breathe and rest. And that's what we're trying to bring to you. And I know you bring those to the kids you serve. And it's a pretty magical piece. We have lots of anecdotes of our instructors in these high stress areas that we serve. Kids are falling asleep in our classes. It's the only quiet they get. They're living in homes. We have one school that we serve has 30% homeless population. Another one has 60%, right? So you've got these incredible conditions for these kids, and we're just trying to find ways that we can get more of our strategies in. So here's our new name. It's not touchy-feely. I know it, right? Sonima Foundation sounds so lovey, but we are actually rebranding and changed our name, and we are Pure Edge Incorporated. Success through focus. Now, Dr. Greer's in the audience, and Dr. Greer, could you just stand up for a second? Well, come on, stand up. It's tall, executive director, right? So if you can just imagine a Dr. Greer going into a conference with all of his peers. You know, you've got all these superintendents across the country, walks in and goes, I'm from the Sonima Foundation. We put yoga in schools. It just doesn't really resonate. He goes in, it's a good-looking former superintendent, says, hey, I'm the executive director of Pure Edge, Inc. We're going to provide strategies to build success through focus for your students. Do you want it in, right? I mean, it is a game changer. We're flying into Indianapolis. We're going into Kansas City, and it had nothing to do with our program. It was his ability to just say, hey, what we're going to do is just provide success through focus. And so it was very strategic on our part to change, and it's because we want to have the impact. We want you to be able to go into schools and provide these strategies. And we're just, like I said, we're agnostic to the language. What we really want to do is help kids. So the other strategy that we've engaged in is we are actually partnering with national organizations. For those of you who are not familiar, CASEL is a collaborative for academic, social, and emotional learning. We have provided a grant to them. We are one of their funding partners. And what CASEL is doing right now is they are funding, and we're so excited about this partnership, they're funding 18 states to develop their social emotional learning competencies for their states. And if you can just imagine, 18 out of the 50 states are actually going to focus statewide on what's good for kids, about their emotional growth and their emotional health. And we want to be a part of that as well. So we're so excited. They're launching that. I'm going to Chicago next week to be with 8 of the states. It's just, I mean, the timing couldn't be better, right? It's a perfect storm for change. We've also engaged with a partner called Panorama. And Panorama Education, they provide student surveys. And what we're trying to do is get some data, ongoing data from kids that use our program, a pre and post, to see how they feel personally, where they are at present, and how they are at the end of a school year when they've engaged in the program. So these two national partnerships are, for us, have been pretty key with our launch of our new brand. The other thing that we have is we have an incredible team of writers who have been working for since really the last 3 years. Eddie Stern, Courtney McDowell, Melanie Jane Parker, Christina Reich, and Barbara Baraki have written curriculum for us. And their designers are there. All the Brain Breaks posters and the images that you see, these are all available for you. And I want to just make sure we'll go over a little bit of what that looks like in a few minutes. We also have national professional developers. So not only do they come here and do great things, our team is actually going around the country and training teachers in these same strategies. So we're really excited about the way we are able to provide support in the field, and we'll tell you a little bit more about what we have to offer. But we did, the writers, we have free curriculum for everyone, right? Our charge, it's very philanthropic. So our founder, Sonia Jones, wants to share these practices out. It is for the field. You get a license for any nonprofit. You can register. You download it for free. You just, it's a license. All the images, all the posters that you see, there we have about, I think, 50 to 100 different assets that you can use freely in the field if you are in schools and working with kids. The only stipulation that we have is that you cannot take it, make your own books, and sell them as your own, obviously. Right? There's no profit that we want you to gain from it. Obviously, to do what you need to do. But we're going to offer this curriculum for free. Our training is free, and we want to impact the field in a big, meaningful way. So that's why we're here to help provide some of those resources. The other thing that's we believe is going to help you get into schools is the curriculum is based on standards that Erin will review. It's also based on research. So one of the conditions for ESSA is it has to be evidence-based, and we're building that evidence for the curriculum that we have. And so that's why we're here today. But I'm just excited, right? Terry gets to say we're pure edge. You get to use the curriculum, and we've got Erin that's going to show you what that looks like. But we have one more thing for you with Jill. She's back.
So now you realize that when I come to this side of the podium, I want you to do something. It's all good fun. So we have this fantastic starfish. You can stay seated for this, or you can stand as you wish. This is lovely for helping the kids learn how to breathe with attention, with focus, and with control. And they love our starfish. If you don't have access to a starfish, you do, of course, have your very own starfish right there. And so you can begin down here, and then you can either watch our starfish here on the screen, or you can just watch your own finger as you trace your starfish. So choose whatever feels the most comfortable for you, and we'll go through this together, yeah? So we're going to begin as we breathe in, and you're going to take your finger up to the top, and then you're going to exhale and breathe out. And just there, take a little pause. And again, inhale and exhale. So notice the pauses in your breath. Inhale to the point of the starfish. Take a pause. Exhale back down. Take another pause. Inhale. Take the pause. Exhale. Take the pause. Again, inhaling and exhaling. So let's just go all the way back to the beginning. And this time, see if you can focus on your finger as it walks around your hand. Take the breath in. Come to the top of the starfish point. Hold. Pause. Exhale. Pause here. Inhale. Coming to the top of the point. Pause. Exhale. Pause again. Feel the pause. Inhale. Feel that moment at the top of the breath. And exhale. Taking your pause. Inhale. Just a moment. Exhale. Last time. Inhale. pause at the tip of the starfish and exhale. Thank you.
How do I keep clicking? We're going to do a fast breathing here. There we go. Okay. So, hi. Does this sound okay? Yeah. Okay. I'm Erin, and I'm here to talk a little bit about our curriculum and the different program offerings that we have, and just kind of give you guys an idea. You've heard a lot of the big picture, and then we'll just get a little bit more into the details of what we do and what it looks like on the ground in the schools. So we'll start with our POWER curriculum. That's our main curriculum. That's the one she was referring to, all those wonderful curriculum writers and all the really cute illustrations that we have. We love our Ferdinand the Frog is his name. The POWER curriculum was written to be delivered by yoga practitioners, so by people who already have experience in yoga, in mindfulness, who understand kind of the health and wellness from the inside out. Thank you, Chi. And so the curriculum includes movement, but the main focus, the most kind of time on the page is spent talking about the superpowers. So we use kid-friendly language, and we have these superpowers that I'll talk a little bit about in the next slide, but really the focus is that it's just a little hook for the kids to get them engaged with mindfulness. The curriculum comes in 3 developmental tracks, so we have a K to 2, 3rd through 5th grade, and 6th through 12th. And as Chi mentioned, it's standards aligned, and this is really important to us. We want to speak the language of the school system. That's a learning that we've had, over the course of time with our organization, is we understand that we need to be able to connect with school leadership, help them understand. We know we have the belief, we love yoga, we know it's good for kids, but we need to help them understand why. So standards help us speak their language. It's also accurate, right? These activities do meet these standards. So we are aligned with national PE standards, health educator standards, and social-emotional learning standards. Okay. So our superpower units, I'm going to go through the kindergarten through 5th grade ones, and we'll just talk a little bit about what those powers are, and short and sweet here. But an important thing is our approach is not that we're giving the kids these superpowers, but it's that we're giving them tools to access the powers that they already have inside of them, right? So we all know that our kids are capable of amazing things, and we're just trying to give them the skills to discover what they already have within them. The first power is the power to be calm. That power is that unit really is focused on routines, setting up what the class is going to be like, learning our mindfulness agreements, which are be safe, be kind, work together, and starting with lots of breathing, so learning about breathing, right? The second one is a really fun one, the power to tame your temper. That is the unit that introduces neuroscience. So our kids are learning also about why these practices work, not only what the practices are. Our kindergartners know what neuroscience is. They know what a neuron is. They learn the word neuroplasticity. When we get up into the higher grade levels, we talk about the parts of the brain and what's happening in our bodies when we get upset, and how doing breathing practices, what actually that does in our brains and how it helps us calm down. What's been really wonderful to see with that unit in particular is that the kids love it. They love learning about this stuff. They love absorbing facts and information. And then we feel good about teaching them why we're doing what we're doing. And it's also helpful, again, because it's not religion, it's science, right? There's a reason why this stuff works, and science is a really appropriate thing to be doing in the school day. Yeah, so that's the power to tame your temper. The power to laser focus is just bringing more mindfulness through the 5 senses. So working with each individual sense, special mindfulness practices, mindful listening, mindful touch, just getting more into that mindfulness piece. The power to grow and stretch teaches the kids about growth mindset. So teaching them how their thinking shapes their sense of what's possible in their lives. The simplest way to explain it is moving from the feeling of I can't do it to the feeling of I can't do it yet, right? And so that whatever we can't do is possible to achieve if we learn how to practice, how to keep going, how to find help when we need it. And so that's a really fun one as well. And then the last one is the power to lead with kindness. And so that just talks about, finding that inner strength that's not about dominance, and leadership that's equated with altruism. So how can we lead and be powerful and important people that can do good in the world, and the things that are going to be good for us are going to be good for our community. And so we get the kids working on that as well. And for the upper grades, they're similar powers. The language shifts a little bit, so it's more appropriate for high school, right? So, okay. So that's sort of an overview of our curriculum, and then I thought it would be helpful to kind of just walk through step by step what one of our classes might look like. And we actually found that because our curriculum was created for yoga instructors, on paper, it looks very content heavy, and so we actually needed to do this for our instructors as well. They were spending too much time on the content because that's what it looked like on paper. So we created this, what we call a session plan, which really helps them keep to the targets that we want them to hit in the class, which is really that we want at least 80% focused on breathing, moving, and resting. Because as we've heard all morning long, that's really where the magic happens. But we feel the content is important so that they can understand why they're doing what they're doing. So we have a little bit of time for that at the end. So in a 30-minute class, it would look like about 25 minutes of breath, movement, and rest, and then about 5 minutes dedicated exclusively to content. We're always happy when instructors can weave content in throughout the movement portion of the class, but there's times, when you're teaching about the brain or you need to look at a chart, things like that, we need to sit down and spend some time just focused on the content. And if we hit these targets, each level of our curriculum, we have enough material to take 2 classes a week for 2 academic years. So there's a lot there. Okay. So we're big on routines with our classes. We really think that helps our kids, the structure, helps reinforce, helps them understand what, how they need to behave, and that they are in their health and wellness class, which is the term we normally use. So our opening routine, each instructor has their own way of doing things, so they're gonna but they come in a mindful way. They come in controlled. They have they just know what's expected of them. And then we start with breathing. We review our mindfulness promises, so we're setting up the stage for what we want our community to look like together. And then we review prior learning. So it's really important, just to keep that train of thought going in the kids. So it's as simple as just saying, who can tell me what we did last time? What did we talk about last time? And then one of the kids is going to respond, and then you're just kind of plugging them back into what you guys are doing together. We try not to take too long on this, and then we move into our breathing and moving portion of the class. And as I already said, The goal is 80% of class time. We're big on the breath movement connection, so we really like to keep the breath going throughout the movement piece of the class. And then I just wanted to say, sometimes the class, like you see the picture all the way on your right, sometimes the class looks a lot like a traditional yoga class that you might see in a studio. You know, it might look very typical. Sometimes there's a parachute in the middle of the room. The kids are still doing the same movement. So sometimes we use stories, we use songs, there's games, but there's still a structure. We have posture sequences that they go through kind of step by step, but they're kids, right? So we work with kids, we meet kids where they are. And after we breathe and move, it's very important to rest. So we try to allow 4 minutes of rest in each class session. Doesn't always happen to be 4. You know, schools are busy, things happen in school, but that's our goal. When we teach rest, we really ask our instructors to allow for some silence during the rest. We need to use our voice sometimes to help the kids settle in. There might be body scan, there might be a visualization, something like that. But we try to give the kids at least a little bit of silence. Longer for the older kids, shorter for the younger kids. But just giving them that time where they're not taking in any outside stimulation. They're just being with themselves. And then after rest, we do our content portion. So they come up to seated. And this might change, you know, it might be given the day, an instructor might choose to start with content, but mostly we do it this way. And we just do 5 minutes at the end of class. And sometimes the content is a new breathing practice, right? Sometimes the content is a little more academic in nature. Sometimes it's an activity that they're doing with their peers. So it varies, but that's how we fit it in. And then the closing routine. So just like we have our opening routine, we have our closing routine. And we just want the kids to leave class in an orderly way, right? One of the things we're saying we're doing for kids and doing for the school day is helping them focus. We want them to go back to class in a more focused state. So we don't want them just like running, screaming out the door, right? Which sometimes, again, that will happen. But our goal is to teach them to kind of conduct themselves with calmness, and so that when we deliver them back to the classroom teacher feels like, all right, we're ready to get to work here. So that's our session. That's how it looks. So this is moving into a different offering that we have. So that's our power curriculum. That's sort of the original curriculum. It's what we started with, the one that's designed for yoga instructors. I think we pretty quickly saw that there's a need for material that could be delivered by other school personnel. Our goal is to get these practices in front of as many kids as possible. So with that, one thing that's developed is our mindful movement program. It originally, we targeted PE instructors because we felt like this is a natural fit. They're already teaching movement. They're already in a space within the school that lends itself to doing movement. And so we developed just some short 10 to 15 minute sequences that they can deliver at the beginning or at the end of their existing PE class. And we train the PE instructors to do so. It's really focused on the breathe, move, rest portion. There's less of the specific mindfulness content outside of just what you experience doing the breath and movement in the postures. And at this point, we've been training PE teachers, but we also have had guidance counselors come. We've had classroom teachers come. We've had after-school paraprofessionals. So it's a way to get these practices, again, just happening throughout the school day and getting them in front of as many kids as possible. Okay. And then we've all experienced some of these already today, thanks to Jill, but our Brain Breaks program. And that's another one that really developed out of our partnership and our engagement in the schools. So as an instructor, I would always have classroom teachers coming up to me and saying, you know, Miss Erin, what can I do with my kids? What, you know, they love this stuff. What can we do? How can I use it in the classroom? And, you know, I could give them little tips and tricks, but really what we realized as an organization is that, you know, a nice handy set of practices to share with school personnel that anyone could deliver would be really useful. And so we developed the Brain Breaks program. And the Brain Breaks are drawn from our power curriculum, but they're really short doses. You know, it's 1 to 3 minutes like we've all experienced. They're designed that they're led by classroom teachers. So you don't need a lot of training to lead these. And yeah, they're just short breathing movement, and we didn't do one of these yet today, but the mindfulness. So sometimes there's little mindfulness activities that the kids can do. And a lot of times we're hearing teachers are using them during transition times in their day, right? So maybe at the very start of school, maybe when the kids come in from recess, maybe after you did 45 minutes of math and you still have 45 minutes of history before you get to go to lunch, you know, they put a brain break in there. So yeah, those are our programs. We're really excited about all of them. And we have lots of supports available that we'll also be making available to you guys to support the program and help bring it to life. I'm not going to go through all of them, but we have one brand new one that we are really, really excited about, and Chi's going to explain that. So give it over to Chi.
So by now, I'm sure you figured out that this group is pure, and Terry and I are edge, and so we've got this very nice yin and yang effect. We're also excited because what we found in the field is that everybody is sort of, you know, doing the practices, but they're forgetting what the sequences are, why they help. And so our colleague Russell Case, who is our director of partnerships, is developing an app, and we call it Pure Yogal. And it's basically game-based. It's going to be an app. It's in beta right now, and so it's getting tested by about 200 people, I believe, and they're giving us feedback. And basically it goes through a sequence, and the images are taken from our curriculum as well. So you can go through. You've got the assemble piece. You can earn a badge by answering questions about the benefits, and then you get badges based on some of our characters. It's really intended for students and instructors and people who just want to get a quick little game to go through, and this is free. We're not charging for any of these things, and again, we're putting together a collection of assets for you to use broadly and share and use them if you choose. We also want to make sure that you understand that we don't believe that this is the best program or it's the only program. That is not our intention for the field to think that about us. What we want to do is provide you a structure that you can use if you want to. If your principal that you go to at a school says, I can't have your program because there's no curriculum, there's curriculum there. You pick, just like any teacher does, you go through your curriculum and pick the pieces that work for you, and knowing that it was tested, it's got evidence in the background. So it's really, we're really here to help the field. And please, in no way are we intending to tell you this is the best program, this is the only one you should use, because that is not our intention at all. We know that you've been out there doing the hard work and kind of laying the groundwork, but if you need any of these tools, they are free for you to use. We're really proud of the Yogal piece, in particular because we're trying to stay ahead, right, and sort of address some of the issues that come up. It's amazing. We go into some of these rural areas, and they don't have electricity, but every one of their parents has a phone, right? I mean, there's just something that is really interesting about that phenomenon, and so we're trying to figure out ways that we can help in that way. And there's lots of other apps for yoga, I know that, but this is just a fun little game that's attached to ours. Yes? It's any device. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it'll get released, I believe, either in November or December. Okay. One of the things that we just want to make sure, we want to thank you. We actually wouldn't be here standing in front of you without Michelle's incredible leadership and her vision for bringing this group together. And so we are just so grateful that you've allowed us to sort of share what we are developing for the field, and being able to, you're the first group that knows we're Pure Edge, right? Our website will be launched in a couple of weeks. We have our board meeting on October 11th, and so, you know, as any good superintendent does, we always share things with our board before we go out publicly. But it should be available by November 1st is our goal. And on there will be a sign-in, a login in the curriculum section. And once it's live, you just have to agree to the licensing terms, and off you go and making a difference. We're also going to have a few national and regional trainings about the curriculum, not to teach you how to do yoga, obviously, but it's really what we're trying to do in the field right now. Terry and I are privy to lots of conversations with superintendents who are really struggling right now with race tensions, police violence. The urban superintendents are in this very stressful situation as leaders. Their teachers are incredibly, it's hard to teach when it's a stressful environment. It's hard to learn when you don't know what's happening outside of your door. And so what we've been asked to do is actually provide self-care for teachers. We are actually approaching that work pretty thoughtfully. I know many of you have done that, where you approach a school not to have the program for kids. It's almost like a gatekeeper, right? We want this for your kids. But when we started actually, Aaron and Jill have done that already, going in and training the teachers and giving them some of these strategies, the way they feel and how they sort of come lifted out, even in a 15-minute, 30-minute session, they say, oh my gosh, this feels so great. I want this for my kids. Right? And so it's those little camel moments that we're trying to get in. And so our focus really is going to be on teacher self-care. And if the teachers are taken care of, we want them to be able to teach the kids that are in these highly traumatized areas. The grants that we give, just so to give you background, the grants that we give and invest in are really for urban environments. We want to help them kind of get and launch. And so that's where we also do that part of the work as well. But we're so very grateful to be here, and we want to thank you for being such a lovely audience. And I'm sorry we didn't have any pictures of the rats or mice or anything, but we have lots of other assets for you to use. And we have Jill to do one closing piece, and then I think we are free to go after that.
See what we can get to. Okay, so let's just finish up with something nice and fun. Just stand up. So you're a little bit limited for space. I just want you to get warmed up first. So just take your arms above your head, reach up, look up, then forward fold. If there's a chair in front of you, just rest on the chair. If you can go all the way down to the floor, then do so. Just being careful. Use the chair as a tool here. Take a couple of breaths. Relax the back of your body, relax the back of your head. And then soften your knees, inhale, rise all the way up, take your hands over your head, look up. And then exhale, let's just do that again. To the floor if you have space, to the chair in front, exhale, relax. Let the head go, let the neck go, let the breath go. Soften your knees a little bit as you need to. Just hang out. And inhale, come all the way up. So you're just going to bring your hands by your side and work with the people next to you. You're going to bring your hands over each other's shoulders. And there might be a gap in the middle. We're going to try for forest pose. So you're all going to look to have the same knee. Why don't we all take this knee up? And we will find a forest in this room. Very nice. Look for support wherever you can find it. Breathe as much as you can. Nice work. Of course, we have to do the other side. So switch over. It wouldn't be right if we didn't. Be a steady, strong forest. This looks awesome. I hope they're getting some great pictures of you guys. You look fantastic. And when you're ready, exhale, release. Thank you for your participation today.
So a big thank you to the Sonima Foundation. We're really excited about their curriculum, so yay.
Pure
Wonderful.
edge. Pure edge.
Yeah, pure edge, sorry.
I know.
That will take some practice.
Yes, it
will
will.
take some practice. So I just want to let you know, wait, we're not done yet. We have time for questions. So we have about 5 minutes. And before you freak out about, yes, we do have time for questions, I'm going to address that too. We have breaks built in between each session. So you guys will still get your full experience. Our next session will actually start at 10:45 and it will run for the full hour. So you will still have all of your breakout sessions. What we will do is we'll decrease our breaks slightly from 15 minutes to 10 minutes in between. So we have about 5 minutes for questions. And then from there, You guys will just want to stop in and make sure you see John. He's actually leaving before lunch, not at lunch. So if anyone's interested in seeing him, do so. But if anyone wants to ask questions, we can do so now. So here we go.
Thank you. This is really amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Greer, for having the courage to break barriers for us, because a lot of people in yoga have a creative mind but not necessarily a business mind to know how to execute all of it. So my question to you is about opening doors. So it's great that everybody has access to this, but could you give us some guidance? Do you think that the best in is going to a principal of one school, or do you think that opens another door, or do you think going straight to the superintendent and offering it? And do you see superintendents sort of wanting to adopt this so that you could even present ourselves as the person to sort of lead that charge for them?
So personally, I was a principal. If it was my superintendent telling me I had to have this program, I usually found a way not to do it, right? Except for if it was Dr. Greer, of course I would have done it. But going to the principal is key, I think, because they're the ones that run that school. What you're really trying to do is help change their culture, right? So the principal is the number one person that will actually have the biggest impact on a site. I think going to the superintendent, it's a layer of bureaucracy. Personally, I wouldn't waste your time. I feel like going to the principal, a great principal is going to know these strategies, right? Yeah.
So 1 or 2 more questions? Yes, we'll take these 2.
Thank you very much for sharing. I'm wondering, there's a number of us from Canada. Are you doing any work or any intention or any future possibilities of bringing some of your work to Canada?
So it's funny you should say that. Terry actually is going to, we're approaching the board about that as well. We've gotten several inquiries from Canada. But you can use our resource. You'll be our first international connection.
Yay, thank you.
I think Debbie.
Hi.
Hi.
So I just wanted to go back as a follow-up to the question this young lady asked about the superintendent and looking at what you've done with scaling. And I think you all have a secret weapon because you were superintendents. So how did it work, for instance? Let's just take Houston when you met Dr. Greer. So it is, for us in Newark, it's best that we check out the principals. It's nice to have a superintendent supporting it, but they'll never dictate everybody should be doing this. So how did it work, for instance, for all of us, just to give us an example in Houston, because you took over an awful lot of schools when you started there, and now you're even expanded further.
Yes, I think the one opportunity that we're going to have within the next year or 2 years is really ESSA. Because of the law changing, we're actually getting inquiries from superintendents about our program. And that's also, as time goes by, attending these trainings, as lovely as these individuals are, I can't have them go school to school, district to district. So we're really looking for the field to help us with the trainings at sites as well. So that opportunity will open up, but we have to actually get that groundwork set up first. But it's, there are some superintendents that have approached Terry. Once we get sort of the open door, I'm going actually into Kansas City to present to their senior cabinet about our program. So it's really it's a challenge for sure, but you're right, and you've done an incredible job in Newark. I mean, going into those schools, you've got over 25,000 kids, 28, 30,000. It's incredible, yeah.
So I think